well. Welcome to my Tuesday Facebook Live. I'm really glad you're here. We're going to be doing some planning. So, hopefully, if everything's going well, behind me you can see some charts that we made and to kind of go over this week's plan. It's backwards in my view, so hopefully it's not backwards for you. And so just go ahead and find that little chat and let me know where you are and where you're listening from. I want to make sure that you can see everything. And then I also want to drop in, because we're going to do a giveaway tonight, I want to drop in a link so that you can sign up to perhaps win a $25 gift card. So let's see if I can grab a link and drop it in here. I gotta find the right link. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? So yeah, let me know how. I'm trying to see why all of a sudden. There we go. I went ahead and dropped it in there, so you can find that. And hopefully it'll pop up here in just a moment. So if you're listening on YouTube or if you're listening on there, I put it in there twice on Facebook, you can go ahead and log in and be entered to win a $25 gift card. So anyhow, let's go ahead and get started. As you can see from behind me, I'm trying to be a little fancy here, but I thought this would be a great way for you to kind of see pictures and see me, and we could all, hi you guys, and we could all kind of plan together. And one of the things that I used to do all the time back in 2012 when I started blogging, a while ago, is I did something called the peak of my week. And it was always a scheduling thing I would do on Sunday. And I would just kind of lay out what I was going to do for my lesson plans. And then when I left the classroom, I paused that. And somebody said, please, it was what got me through kindergarten. It was so helpful. So from time to time, I brought it back. So I went ahead and created another peak of the week this week. And you can find that over on my blog right now. I'll go ahead and drop the link where you can find, and you can download. It's an editable template. So if you're like, and the intention would be, this is what's going to happen next week. Okay. Just so you all know, I know you know, but I don't want to have any false pretenses. I'm not in the classroom full time. But I still know what it's like to plan. And so I know it's a lot of work. So I went ahead and created lesson plans here that are several pages long that are editable. So you can go in and say, I'm not doing that. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to do this instead. Or I need to change the times. So hopefully you can see I have a green screen behind me. So I'm a little bit worried about getting outside of my shirt area because then it kind of disappears. But you can see across the top, it'll say what we do in the morning. And this is exactly what I did in the morning. And then what the calendar can look like, what shared reading you can do. And then across, I also have for the phonemic awareness and phonics section, I went ahead and pulled that from Not Your Mother's Sight Words, right? So it's right here for kindergarten first and second. And then a reminder that those daily lessons are going to start a week after the whole group lessons. So if this week I'm teaching J, E, O, and Q, next week, I'll be doing the review, the slide decks, and all of those things that review J, E, O, Q, plus a lot of other things, right? Plus the things that we've already learned. So just a reminder, but I went ahead and put it on here that this is week 5. At the top, it says it's week 5. We're going to start the slide deck whole group science of reading a week behind the phonics instruction. Hopefully that makes sense. If you're like, yep, I get that, Dee Dee, just let me know. I know we've talked a lot about it in the webinar, so I want to make sure that that's something that's clear to you as well. And then also a reminder during that first few weeks of school, I'm assuming we're about week 5. I just went ahead and planned it as if I was in school when I would have started. We wouldn't be starting small group yet, right? So small group would be something that we were going to wait. And I really feel like 6 weeks is optimistic. 8 weeks is probably more realistic, but you probably want to be in school for at least, I would say 8 weeks. Typically, I would start small group around week 4 for my classroom, but we know that this is an atypical year. So don't feel like you need to rush into it. One of the things that I've been saying to a lot of people, sometimes you go slow so you can go fast, right? So you want to make sure everything is set up the way that you want it to be, so that you can go fast later on, right? So we want to make sure everything's running really, really well. Then if you turn the page, after you've downloaded these, you don't have to sign up for anything. You can just download these on my blog. You'll see what lesson plans would be for a writer's workshop. Here's the read aloud lesson. Here is, we're still doing, actually we started into Deanna's pumpkin unit. And then what's happening in math workshop for kindergarten and first grades on there. And then math journals, and then math centers. And then if you turn to the next page, it goes on and on forever, but this is exactly what I've been doing for years. These would be the centers for literacy centers, and then the next would be math centers. So just to let you know, that is something that you can find in my blog link that I added into the comment area. And then you'll also want to make sure that you sign up for tonight's giveaway, because I'll go ahead and give away a $25 gift card for those people who are here live. So I'll go ahead and select it from that little widget. So without further ado, I have all of my lesson plans placed inside of here, and the book for this week is Pumpkin Circle. So I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with Pumpkin Circle, but it's just a great little book. You can see this thing is well loved. I've had this forever. I have my circa DD 2014 blog. I mean, it's probably older than that. Sticker on there says Return to Mrs. Wills. But this is a really beautiful book. And I mean, it's been around for a while, but I just love the illustrations. I think that they are, it's messing with my green screen there, but I think that they're not illustrations. My photographs in here are wonderful. And it's a little lyrical, so I like that as well. So we get to see some images here if some students haven't actually seen what a pumpkin sprout looks like, what the leaves look like. Some may not have had a chance to, I know, I love it too, Anne-Marie. Some of them may not have a chance to see all the different types of pumpkin seeds. They might only think about pumpkin seeds that they've seen at the grocery store, you know, the kinds that we eat. So, yep, that would be something as well. Inside of here as well, there are some great illustrations. I love this crosshatch that you have here, where you can see what's above and you can see what's below. So you get to see what the root looks like. And then you start to see, you know, actually as it starts to grow, the texture of the leaves, you know, those little spikiness to it. So that's a great illustration as well. Or I keep calling it illustration, but photograph as well. And then you have this man who shows up through everything. He's got those little orange hands, which I think is really very precious, but you can see all of the vines in his backyard. And, you know, as we continue on, we can also see sort of like Pumpkin Jack, it's not going to like this because it's green on the background, but you can see the green, or not the green, you can see the decomposition of the pumpkin over time and then how it regenerates. So it's a great book to use if you are going to talk about the life cycle of a pumpkin, which is right over there behind my shoulder there. There is the anchor chart for that as well for this book. You know, it has it talks about different types of varieties on the back page. There's some great information. Hello, Rebecca. There's some great information on the back as well. Yeah, so how to grow pumpkins and that sort of thing. What we did in my classroom, I'm going to, we did Deanna Jump's pumpkin investigation. So lots of activities related to that. One of the things that we did is we put a pumpkin seed into a bag, plastic bag with a little bit of water, and hung it in the window to look for it to germinate. So if you go over my blog post, you can kind of see how those seeds began to sprout. And of course, look at these little hands with the students doing that. And then we did all types of things. We measured them, and then we tried to see if they would float or not float. I'm glad, Chris, that you thought that they were really comprehensive. I like to plan that way, just so that I knew exactly what I was going to do. And then it's easy to update once you have one year under your belt. So maybe you're like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to use that book next year. I'm going to use a different book. It's easy to swap it out. So for this particular book, the first day, what we'll be doing is working on schema. So what do you already know about pumpkins? On the next day, we're going to talk about text details. So students will be collaboratively putting together the anchor chart, and then they'll have their own to do as well. So they'll put the pumpkin circle. And then on Wednesday, we'll be talking about the author's purpose. So what do you think the author wants us to know? and then we'll work on text features for the last 2 days, and students will be working on their own informational text. There's also a page there where they're going to be labeling parts of a pumpkin. So they'll be looking at the tendril, and there's a word bank there as well. So it's a great opportunity for them to really, go beyond just kind of that initial, what do we know about pumpkins? They can dive deeper. And one of the things that we love to do with our engaging readers is we want to make sure we take that book and we go back to it again and again and again. So that's a great opportunity to do that. Let's see, what are we going to be doing for science of reading? We're going to be starting week 4. And so I'll go ahead and grab it's pretty heavy. I have it printed out. Here's the lesson plans. And so if I go to week 4, day 1 of these plans, here it is. We're going to be teaching the phonics skills for week 5, right? But this daily lesson plan is going to be week 4, right? Because we're going to be reviewing what we previously learned. So this week we're learning, what did I say? J-E-O-Q. We wouldn't want to put that in part of review because we're still learning it, right? Does that make sense? So this is week 4, even though you will be on week 5 phonics instruction. And so at this point, when you get to week 4, you're going to probably have your routines down pretty well. One of the things I had recommended to teachers in our webinar is that as you're doing this intensive drill, because it is intensive, right? You can see how much, no, you can't because it disappears. You can see how much there is there. Is that grammatically correct? You can see how much is there. Okay. You may not start the full year doing every aspect of it. You may start the beginning of the year just doing the slide decks, right? So they're seeing the letters, they're seeing M says T says T, right? And then you may be doing some blending with those slide decks, but you may skip some of the other, step 2 or step 3. You might do your heart word work, orthographically mapping those high frequency words, and you might be doing some dictation, but you may not be doing everything the first week. I mean, I wouldn't do everything. I didn't do everything with first graders, so I can't imagine you would do everything with kindergarten students. So the first week that you start these lesson plans, you may only do 1 section, and that's cool. Then the next week, you're going to do 2 sections. And then the next week, you can do 3 sections. And by the 4th week, you should be able to get all of them down. Those routines, we want to make sure we have them really, really solid so that, again, we can go slow so we can go fast. So take your time, give yourself grace, keep coming back to the lesson plan so that you, sometimes what happens is I'm trying something new, I approximate. Like I look at it, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then I teach it. I don't want to teach it like this, looking at it, right, the whole time. So I teach it and then I go back and look, I'm like, oh, you know what, that wasn't quite right. I need to switch it this way. So keep coming back to it until you have it down pretty quick, routinely, automatically. But just know that you want to add on. Again, this should take you 30 minutes when you're up and rolling. 30 minutes is all that you need to have huge changes in the outcomes your students have. So 1, that's available to you in the lesson. This is in that printable Science of Reading lesson plans. The other thing I wanted to point out to you is probably that we've updated the curriculum guide. So if you're like, yeah, I don't have your curriculum, Dee Dee, I have to use XYZ. This is still a great planning guide because each week is kind of mapped out for you. What are we doing week 1? What are the sight words involved as well? So you can find that over on my blog as well on the curriculum map. And then kind of some of the possibilities. So if you use our poems, the pumpkin patch is one that's in the October ones, and you get the name of all of the different poems that are available to you if you have those units. So the pumpkin patch is a fun little one. I'm gonna try to add that in and see if you guys can hear. I don't know if it's gonna work. We're gonna try. And I'm gonna see if I can get it to play, but I don't know if you'll be able to hear it.
Jack-o'-lanterns, pumpkin pie, we need pumpkins, pumpkin seeds, pumpkin bread, we need pumpkins. Peter, pumpkin eater, he needs pumpkins. Pick 'em at the pumpkin patch.
And then it repeats. So I'm gonna go ahead and put. Try to get this turned off. Okay. And then so it just repeats. So students really love that, and we like this familiar tunes that they can use. And then again, that's a great way for students to kind of learn those songs. And so Pumpkin Patch is one that would be great while you're studying pumpkins. Other books that are great for this week, I have them here. If you're familiar with this book, How Many Seeds in a Pumpkin, this is a great book as well. It's a story of Charlie, who's kind of the smallest in his class, and he and his classmates. This is a second. Ooh, there it goes. It disappears again. This is one of the set 3 engaging readers, but they're guessing how many pumpkin seeds are in a pumpkin, and they're all making their guesstimates, and then they have different ways of counting. So this is a fun book that you can use as well. It is some skip counting. So for kindergarten, this might be a skill that obviously, they're not going to be able to do, but, you could show them how skip counting is something they're going to learn this year, and then how they're using it in their grade. If you're first grade or second grade, I think this is a really great book to include in your math lessons as well. But again, How Many Seeds in a Pumpkin is a really great book to use for your pumpkin week. So, they just in the back of the book, there's a whole bunch of notes. Charlie is the character, but it says Charlie's Pumpkin Facts. Pumpkin seeds are small but powerful. A whole huge pumpkin grows from a tiny seed. So lots of information in here as well. Is pumpkin a vegetable? No, it's a fruit. So lots of information. And again, I really love the different illustrations. And I think that the message is great as well, that, great things come in small packages. I have pulled out a couple other books. We all love Pumpkin Jack. That's a great one as well. So if you're looking for some other books to include in your lessons, Pumpkin Jack is also a great one. This is this is a narrative text. And so it starts with Tim carving his first pumpkin, and then after he puts a jack-o'-lantern on there, he loves it. And then I think most people know this book, but how he lets the pumpkin decompose, and then it becomes a pumpkin again. So I'm just looking at the pictures and I'm not sharing with you, which isn't very nice of me, but lots of great illustrations. Pumpkin Jack is one that is a great book that you can use this week if you'd like, or the week that you're doing pumpkins. Let me know if you're doing pumpkins this week or what kind of lessons you're doing this week. That would be great. And then one that I didn't include in my blog post, I need to go back and do it again, is how big Could Your Pumpkin Grow is a book by Wendell Miner. And I actually had this as a listening center. So I have the CD in the back of it. Remember back in the day when they would have CDs? But it's just kind of a cool illustrations. It's kind of, not necessarily a really deep book, but some of the illustrations, it's a great idea to think about, thinking outside the box and students thinking and using their imagination is the word. You're doing bats this week. Very nice. Sandra, you're doing pumpkins. Yay. So you went ahead, and then Rebecca, you're doing bats. Awesome. So the last 2 weeks in October, I wanted to get it out ahead of time just because I really want teachers to have time to, take on the lessons and plan them. So I wanted to give you like a path that you could use a little bit ahead of time. So pumpkins there is. I do have, Rebecca, there is a blog post on bats, so you can go back and find that. One thing that I'm planning on doing is creating kind of an easy to follow. My blog is in the middle of a redesign. I have a wonderful blog designer, Ashley Hughes, is kind of spiffing it up for me, making things, when you have a lot of content, sometimes it's really, really hard to find things sometimes. And so I'm going to be making it easier for you to find these types of lesson plans, the peak of the week. Like I said, I've been doing them for years, so there's a whole bunch on there. But I need to have them cataloged so that you can say, okay, what options do I have for week 2? What options do I have for week 3? What options do I have for week 40? No, hopefully you don't have week 40. So anyhow, that's on my list of things to have done really, really within the next couple of weeks. So you can go back. I just saw something fly in the window, so I was like, what is that? So you could go back and find some of those. Anyhow, hopefully making it a little bit easier. You're on fall break. Jane, I love that. So you're going to be doing leaves and then you're going to be doing pumpkins. That's perfect. Fall break is wonderful. Okay, so for writer's workshop, let me go ahead and get out what we're going to be doing. Wait, I put it down. Safe place. So for writer's workshop, some of the lessons, this would be the beginning of our second unit of study, right? Hi, Donnie, you made it. I know this isn't your night. I was trying to do it another day, but nobody else could make it on another night. So this is going to be the week that if you're following our writer's workshop curriculum, you're going to be launching into making books. And one of the things that I always say is that it's a very challenging time because up until now, the students have been doing 1 page a day, right? And now you're going to start to unleash the paper monster. And you're going to say, hey, you know what? What if we start to write in books? And students are going to be really excited about it. And they'll start ripping through, not ripping, but whipping through books very quickly. And so I did a blog post a long time ago. I called it like trusting the parachute, which wasn't very good for search engine optimization. But basically, every year when I would start that movement into writing books, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the year that it's not going to work. And every year it worked. So I just want you to know that I always had apprehension and I was the one who started it. So if you're feeling like, I'm not ready to start in the books because they're doing so well with the single page a day, trust that it's going to be okay. And then it's going to be good. So this is the week that you're going to introduce bookmaking. And you're going to be exploring narrative text. So you're going to be looking at some of these other books. And of course, you can use some of the content books that you're already using. You might look at Pumpkin Jack. You might look at some of those, like where do writers get their ideas? So start looking at some of those narrative texts. Every time that you read something, like Pumpkin Jack, where, they carved a pumpkin. We carved a pumpkin too, right? Or we let it, we planted a pumpkin seed, or we've had that happen before. So those are the types of books you want to make sure you bring into your classroom when you're starting to talk about narrative text so that they start to make connections, right? The things that sometimes interrupt your, lesson plan because they're like, my uncle, right? Those are the kinds of things you want to bring in so that they make lots of connections and get them really, really excited about writing. So bring those in. I'm looking at Mary Beth, you're doing spiders, community service, then pumpkins, then bats. Bats are last. Awesome. Anybody, I was going to say anybody doing spiders, but I just read that you are, Mary Beth. Whew. It's been a long day for me. So sorry. So we're going to be kind of introducing bookmaking, and each day you're going to be modeling in front of them what it means to be a bookmaker, right? And you're going to be modeling them the thought process that you go through by touching each page. So day 1, you're going to introduce books. Day 2, you're going to explore narrative text and then adding the next page. So you want to make sure you model that. It's all written out in the lesson plans. You'll start to introduce that story hand on day 3 and day 4. So Wednesday and Thursday. And then on Friday, you're going to work on that strategy of reading and touching each page as they go. So again, that's for writer's workshop. So that's a great way to kind of plan it out. We don't want to we're not going to be able to teach everything all in one day. So just kind of, I have it mapped and paced for you in starting on unit 2. Let's see. Make sure that you have already entered that raffle widget that I put at the beginning so that you could be eligible. I want to make sure everybody who is here has had a chance to enter. Yep, I think it's rolling. So make sure you have. Okay, now for centers time, now this is week 5. So at this point, you should probably have pretty much a lot of academic centers in each of your, your center spots. But we want to keep it really simple. So some of these are going to be the same ones that you've had week after week. For example, there's the pocket chart where they're building sentences. You have the name center where they're working on their names. You have the writing center. Those are kind of set, right? Those are things that you've introduced already. So it's just a matter of them going there. You don't have to reteach those because you've been doing those for a few weeks. The other thing is the overhead center. So I don't know if you guys have ever had an overhead projector. I loved mine. And you can put like your handwriting paper under the overhead projector and have them just trace it, which I think is great. What I don't like are the vis-a-vis markers because they make a big mess. So I always had it, my overhead projector displayed against a whiteboard, and then they just wrote on the whiteboard. So that's one way to do it. Or if you have a document camera that is a little bit portable, maybe you could move it so that it shines on a whiteboard, or place a whiteboard there for it to shine on, and then have them use dry erase markers, practicing their letter formation or number formation. Those are some great things that you can do as an ongoing activity. So the other thing that you can do is you can have whatever your words are for the week, have them on cards so that they can see it, and then give them magnets, and then they can build it on the display. It'll shine up against the board, and then they can write the words as well. So that's also something that's just really engaging. It's something that can last for weeks after weeks after weeks, and you don't necessarily have to buy anything for it other than making sure that you have a document camera or something like that. Like I said, I had a really old overhead projector. Like, I rescued them from the high school. One other thing that you can do is the listening center. That's something that's been out for a while now. So you want to make sure that you have that running really well. As I recommended before, when you start the listening center, you want to make sure you have students model how that's supposed to look, right? So if this is the book that they're reading, want to make sure students understand and if it's really something like this that has a sound to turn the page, make sure they know how to do that. For us, it's something where, like, obviously we know, ding, turn the page. For some students, that's going to be a new experience for them. So you'll go ahead and illustrations in this book are pretty cool, even though, it's kind of a silly little book, but just make sure that they're really comfortable with that. So listening center is something that you can keep going all year. And at this point, bump should be a game. If you're using my centers, bump will be something students are really getting comfortable with, so you can kind of swap those out. I wanted to show you this ABC center that I really liked, and something that's really kind of sustainable. So I'm going to see if I can do this without it disappearing. But so basically the cards would look like this, right? I would have a letter on there, and then they would, on their response page, they would color it to match. Can you see it? They would color it to match. So this one, X is yellow, so they would find the lowercase x and they would color that one yellow, that pup yellow. So just a really simple alphabet activity that they can do. You just want to keep them pretty simple at the beginning of the year. And again, we're going to go slow so we can go fast. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. Hopefully, kind of walking through this process is going to be something that's helpful for you. If this is something that you want to see more of, just let me know. I want to make sure that I'm adding value, and that's something that's helpful for you. And then for the math centers, again, we're going to keep some of those activities the same. I don't believe you can really see this. So let me go ahead and see if I can add a screen, and then maybe that will help. Well, that's really small, isn't it? See if I can make me smaller. That's a little bit better. So here's that blog post that I was telling you about. So there's that pumpkin circle. This is an example of a second grade response, but this is more indicative of what you would see from a kindergarten and first grade students. Again, we're going to have them respond through illustrations mostly, right? There's your anchor chart. Students are doing that. We're having our pumpkins can, are, and have chart, student work, a little art project. This is an activity that is really a fun way for them to practice their fine motor. So they would go ahead and spin the spinner and then find the line that matches that and then trace over the top. So that's a fun activity. And then I have several other in here as well that you can find, as well as some book recommendations. But what I really wanted to show you is down at the bottom, this is where you're going to download this template that I'm showing you. And then it's editable. So it's a zip file. So you can just go ahead and extract them. And then one of them is a PDF. If you're like, okay, I'm good to go, I'm just going to use that. Or if you want to make some changes, there's a PowerPoint in there, so you can change it. And then there's this free pumpkin seed lesson plan in there as well. So I just want to make sure you saw that. Make sure that you've had a chance to download that. Let's see if we have any questions. Lots of different pumpkin books that are out there, and a lot of books that are great for this time of year. Next week, I'm going to talk about the book Otis. How many of you already know the book Otis? It's a great book. It's a great one if you're talking about the farm. It's about a little tractor. I love it. It's one of my favorite books. My class loved it as well, so that's a great one. So next week, I'll be talking about that. And then we have Knuffle Bunny and the Relatives Came. So I'll be adding those in. And that's kind of what I'm thinking I'm going to do for my Facebook Live. So let's go ahead and see. I'm going to go over and see if I can pick my winner. Yes. This is good. Okay. So, great. I love, me too, Dawn. I love Otis. It's such a precious book. And so I'm going to be kind of sharing some things that you can do for Otis as well. Let me go ahead and see if I can find my winner. I have all these windows open, so hang on just a second. And we'll find someone who is a winner, chicken dinner. All right, let me go to my dashboard now. I had to update it really quick, and I'll go ahead and I'm ready to award. And I have the email is SKOBANE. So SKOBANE @ and then there's more to it. So you are the winner. So I'll go ahead and when we're done with this live, I don't want to give the whole email away because I don't know. Maybe that's private. Is it private? I mean, I think so. So anyhow, that's the first part of the email for the person who won. And I'll go ahead and process that Amazon gift card for you. Hello from Chicago. And I'm sure I can't see the name on there, but I bet you it's Edney. I bet it is. So it just says Facebook user. It's like so ambiguous. I wish it wouldn't be. But yes, congratulations. The clickable link for the downloaded template just keeps bringing me to the top of the blog post. All right, let me go ahead and check real quick. So this one right here, well, you're right. That's exactly what's happening. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to fix that really quick. Let me stop. I'm going to stop sharing one screen, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to fix that. I apologize. How'd that happen? Edit. You guys are going to see. Well, you're not going to see because I'm not going to show you the hot mess behind the scenes. You already know the hot mess behind the scenes. If you followed me for a while, yeah, you're there. You know. Okay, I'm going to fix that link. Oh gosh. Thank you for telling me. That's really odd. I don't know that I've ever had that happen before. I mean, anything can happen, right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let me just edit that link. I have to open it up because I have it in my Drive, Google Drive folders. So I have to just change that link out really quick. And Ozzy and Harriet are going to bark. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in here so you guys have it. You don't have to wait on me to update everything. So there's the link in there, but I'm updating it on the blog post as well. And we'll get this all figured out. Oh, yeah, clearly that's what I did. I can see it. Okay, and then I just fixed it in the blog post, but you should be able to see it in the comments. There's the link right there, so you can go ahead and grab that for this week, and then I'll make sure that next week that it is all ready to go. Hi, Robin. Oh, we have 2 Robins here. Oh my gosh. You are welcome. You are welcome, you guys. Have a great evening. I'm going to say goodnight for now. We'll do this next Tuesday. So put a little alarm on. I'm putting an alarm on mine so that hopefully I can walk you through. It is Edme. I knew it. You can't see the link. You missed my 4 children. Let me go find them. I'm not sure how to make that go away. Let me call them. Ozzy, Harriet. I think they went outside, so I don't hear them right now. They barked, and so I think they got the boot. All right, you guys are great. Next week, I'll go ahead and try to bring my fur babies in for a little cameo appearance, and I'll see you guys next week. Edme, if you're still stuck, you know how to email me, or if you go to the blog post, I did update it, so you'll find it there as well. I'll go ahead and make sure it's all working, and I will see you guys next week. All right, have a great evening. Bye.